Okay. I think Ashish, maybe you could rejoin. So we don't. Maybe you could rejoin, and yeah, then you will be clear. Uh, yeah, let me actually put headsets. Sorry, maybe then it will be clear for him. Yes, let's continue this game. Why I'm talking about this game is because it's one of the key roles in understanding how creative you are, or it's a best and simplest way to discover your creativity and start practicing right from now. From this session before you even start solving complex problems. You could do this practice with every problems in day-to-day life and what you observe every day. You can try and link it to different things, and by linking different things is how you actually develop your creativity. And yeah, this is not just a simple problem that we are doing. This is a scientifically proven method which actually service selection boards from Indian Navy, Indian Army, and yeah, Indian Air Force, they use this thematic apperception test to test what is going on people's mind. And yeah, so the answer that you give is dependent upon what's your socio-economic background is, what's your education is, what is your present mood, and yeah, what constraints I gave it to you. Suppose I would have cropped this picture and I've shown you only the base, then you might have not noticed the garbage. And suppose now if I show you this one, right? What do you see the connection, right? It's nothing but there you see the bull and now you're seeing a bear. So it means the stock market is consisting of both bull market and bear market, and presently we are in bear market. So now I'm trying to tell you that the perceptions that you get is dependent on how you connect two things. For example, if I show you the only the first picture, you will be seeing a confident girl, you'll be seeing a bull market, or as somebody very creatively said that yeah, she is protesting against climate, and yeah, she could be Greta standing out there against capitalism. And yeah, at the bottom you said that she is a depressed girl. Now I can also say that a lot of people don't know to how to trade confidently in bear markets, and people are afraid about present economic status. So yeah, there is different things that you can connect through the unconnected things. So it depends on what is the problem statement and how you see it. So I will show you some more complex problems like this, and then you will understand how you can actually come up with solution. And you must always remember that there is no right or wrong answer in open innovation. It's just your perceptions. And yeah, maybe all the perceptions could be right, but as long as you are meeting the solution criteria, there is very high chance that you could give a right answer to the complex problems that we will talk about soon. I would have not drawn the bull market and bear market connection because I don't have background. Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's how it is. So for an economics guy, yeah, it would have been very easy. But for others who is not from economic background, you would probably talk about emotions. The first girl is confident and the other girl is depressed. So you would talk about emotions. Exactly. So this is how actually Indian Navy, Indian Air Force, all of them they use this thematic perception test to test the people and understand what's going on there in mind, and check the suitability whether they can become officers in Navy or Air Force. Why this is important is because the problems are increasingly becoming complex, and it is very familiar to us, but we don't know what we can do about it. So the Navy officers, for example, they face various situations and various dilemma. So this Navy officers or Army officers are generally the crisis solvers. So for example, when the nation is in crisis, they need to be very creative and they need to come up with highly creative solutions that takes care of various stakeholders. So that is how they can actually test the creativity of people using this simple test that we did right now. So yeah, let's come to session now. Yeah, I talked about creativity and confidence. So few of you actually got it right that I was trying to get the confidence in this. So this is creative confidence. So what we did here exercise that each one of us came up with different opinion and different thought process, and different analogy about the picture. And and here what happened is, you were thinking independently and you were confident with your thought process, and you were not hesitant to share your answers, and it came to you instantly. So probably you were thinking like a child, right? So when you are thinking like a child, it is high probability that you will get up with you will get an unbiased opinion or unbiased answer. But when you're solving the real life problems, or if you're taking a specific challenges, there is always some details given to you, right? For example, this problem they might be describing as, how do we make people to trade confidently in bear market? The minute I say how do we make people trade confidently in bear market, you will always be having a solution which is biased to what I framed. So this bias needs to be eliminated when you're solving challenges, and you need to be creative, having some creative confidence. So this creative confidence concept was started by David Kelly and Tom Kelly. They were the founders of IDEO New York. It's a very good design firm. So a lot of companies, products that you see in day-to-day life are being designed by this company. And they also started Stanford Design School. So when it comes to creativity, you have to mention IDEO. So, and you have to mention about creative confidence. That is why I have this slide. Let's move to now open innovation. Really understand what is open innovation and why we are talking about it today. So if you see historically, until few decades, we don't know the exact number, but the corporations were totally dominating until few days, and everything that developed was within the corporation, right? So whatever ideas are there, so they divide into special R&D teams, and you develop the product within your corporate limit and you give it to the market. So this is generally a closed innovation model. But nowadays what is happening is, the problems are becoming increasingly complex, and as a firm you cannot innovate alone, you need to collaborate. So this is nothing but open innovation in general. So you seek out your challenge. So you are a corporation, or you are a firm which is solving societal problems. You could be a policymaker. So when you have some conflicting problems, then you seek out to use open innovation model, because it is very high unlikely that all the ideas for your challenges will be there within your firm. So you have to seek people from outside, and you need to collaborate with them and get the ideas. So this is nothing but open innovation in simple terms. Let's go to uh, understanding why we need open innovation. So this is called as wicked problems in design thinking terminology. So what is wicked problems? So everything that you see right now in day-to-day life is actually wicked problems. So uh, right from climate change, the terrorism problem, the garbage problem. These are all ambiguous problems. These are quite chaotic. You don't know what's really happening and how you could solve it. There are many stakeholders involved, and they have conflicting perspectives. And these challenges actually have very strong social impact. And the people take different opinions, different beliefs and behaviors, and even identities. So, and for these kind of challenges, it is highly unlikely that you will have one single solution, and there could be no right or wrong solution. You cannot quantify them. There is no previous evidence to give a proper solution for that. Right now, if you see, the COVID crisis itself is a wicked problem, right? A lot of companies, a lot of countries have their own beliefs, and there is no scientific evidence regarding which strategy is good, whether we need to social isolate or whether we need to. There are three different types of policies being applied, right? For example, Sweden is the most liberal policy, and we have intelligent lockdown here in Netherlands, and there is complete lockdown in India. So all these three, no one knows which of these strategies are good or right, and you cannot come to a conclusion right now, because the problem is ambiguous, it's chaotic, right? So you could really understand what is a wicked problem by really understanding corona situation that all of you by now know some aspects of it. So now let's see to one of the wicked problem that was hosted very recently in Innocentive. Innocentive is one of the open innovation platform where you can actually submit your ideas for various challenges. So this problem, if you see, it was how do you address anti-vaccination propaganda on social media in Pakistan. So yeah, so now you see there are two kinds of beliefs here, right? One set of people believe that vaccination is good, the other set of people believe that vaccination is not good, and these people who are termed as anti-vaccination propaganda, uh, they are problematic to stakeholders who are government who wants to eradicate this polio, and yeah, they need to stop this propaganda. And yeah, this was posted as a challenge, and you could come up with various challenge ideas. So the idea of showing this is that more and more problems of the world are getting complex, and it is becoming of a wicked problem type. That means it is a bad in one way, also a good in one way for us, right? As a problem solvers, it gives us an opportunity to solve. So you don't need any specific domain knowledge, right? So ideas for this can come up with anyone. So doctors can present ideas. You as a citizen can submit some ideas. Suppose you are a technology developer, you could submit some technology ideas for this. So that is why the open innovation is actually increasing every day, and it also presents you some opportunity to test out your ideas. And yeah, if it is a good idea, you could potentially win some money for submitting your idea. uh, this was about why we need open innovation. I hope this is clear. Now let's get into the problem solving aspects of open innovation and understand how different it is with respect to case computation. So if you saw, if you have observed the previous slide, so it was quite chaotic, right? So if you see the OI, so it's like a riddle. The problem that we are trying to solve itself is a riddle. We don't even know which is the right problem, and there is, when you're solving the Rubik's cube, there is multiple ways and multiple strategies with which you can come up with a solution, right? And yeah, in this scenario there is multiple strategies. But when you are doing a case competition, for example, case competition generally involves a highly specific case of a company or a sector, and you could actually structure the problems in multiple issues, right? You could divide them into issue tree, and you could have some sub issues in that issue tree. You can go into look into, you can go and search later about this issue tree. But the idea here is, in OI, its problems are really in an unstructured way. You really don't know what is the structure and theme of the problem. You could define your problem in your own way and devise a solution, and there are multiple strategies, multiple solutions that might work. But in case computation, it is expected that you devise some issues and focus on those issues and specific topics. Of course, in OI also there could be some specific company challenges, but again, the challenge for that company might be wicked in the industry for itself. So again, so the more you make it more wider, better it is, because you can focus on different aspects and pick whatever is interesting for you, right? So that was about OI versus case competition, why it is important. Yeah. Now I was speaking for so much. Now let me take a break, and yeah, can you guys guess which Pokemon this is? So I hope few of you have played Pokemon in your early life. So let's play this game again. Just take a wild guess if you have played this game. Okay. Okay. Right. Yeah. It is coughing. Yeah. Right. But but be prepared to surprised from the next slide. What do you see now? I am saying It is global pandemic COVID-19, right? Right? So this is how you can improve your creativity. It's quite simple, right? Having a different opinion. Now, in the last slide, what happened is I told you that it's Pokemon, so your mind was constrained and you focused just on Pokemon, right? And you were not able to think something beyond Pokemon and come up with a creative idea like this. So, in general, when solving problems, it is quite a riddle, right? So, just like the Pokemon guessing, where the ideas comes from is quite a complex process. Each people are blessed with their own thinking abilities, and yeah, but if you read this book you actually understand the philosophy of idea generation and how you could get inspired and get some better ideas. Yeah, that's right, Aditya. Yeah, now let's see another example. Do you guys agree that this could also be Pikachu now? Think why or why not. Okay, okay. There's one of the famous memes, so maybe you guys have seen it. So I'm just trying to show that how original ideas are originated, right? You know, how people get some crazy ideas by simple things. Maybe in one of the stages of evolution. Yeah, that could be. Yeah, coughing evolution, I think wheezing. Yeah, could be, could be. Yeah. But it is actually Pikachu. See this? Isn't it beautiful? I'm just showing Pikachu like hiding somewhere and coming out of some radiance. It is still Pikachu, isn't it? Right? So so the concept of this is, yeah. So the concept of this I'll explain you. It's a terminology. I can explain you with one more example. Now you understood that at the first time when I was showing you here, all of you were guessing only Pokemon, right? So your mind was, influenced to think only about Pokemon. And yeah, you all of you guys were in a one particular domain and you got answers. So if I show you multiple Pokemons like this, you will easily come up with multiple Pokemon names. So this is fluency, right? In creativity terminology, this is called fluency. When I show you this one, you got to know that I'm going beyond that. I don't want Pokemon names. I want something creative now. So it is called flexibility. So you think beyond one domain. So maybe you're stuck with some idea to a particular domain. For example, Pokemon domain was the case in our scenario. Similarly, when you're solving a problem, your idea is biased to one particular domain. Now you want to come out of it and be more creative, so you think about different things and you come up with some unique idea and you come up with flexibility. Now you know this. Now again, now you have to come up with a breakthrough idea, right? Something which is quite unique and nobody might have thought about that, but you perceive it and you see it, you visualize it in your brain. And yeah, you could also say that it's Pokemon. So this is called originality. Now, in similar aspect, I wrote one article about this in LinkedIn sometime back, and I can show you why this is important and why this is actually used every day in coming in corporate challenges and social challenges. And a lot of entrepreneurs, designers, problem solvers use this technology, use this technique to come up with very creative ideas that others might not have thought of it. Now, we talked about fluency, flexibility, and originality. Fluency is nothing but you have one idea and you stick to it and you try and experiment that, change few variables, your thought process, and come up with different ideas. For example, if you see this box here, there is a lot of solar panels, right? Now, when you're generating ideas in fluency, what you would do is you would question, why should I place it at 30-degree? Why not let me experiment with 45-degree? Let me tilt it and do whatever combinations. So your main idea remains same, but you're generating high number of ideas within that domain. This is called fluency. So you have some idea and you generate multiple ideas on the same theme. So this is called fluency. With this concept, you can come up with a high number of ideas creatively and quickly, right? Now, the second concept is flexibility. Some guy would argue that I need not stick this to stationary. Why not put it on train or car or something? So now it's no more stationary. It is moving. So you come out of that theme of changing the angles to something very different. So that is flexibility. Now again, this is again you can come up with certain domains, and somebody else might think about why the color of solar panels needs to be grayish or black. Let's come up with colorful panels. So that's what IIT Bombay actually did a few years back. If you see the pic, two people holding there, they were from IIT Bombay, and yeah, they came up with the concept of colorful solar panels, which is actually one of the huge challenge right now in solar industry. So a lot of architectural value is improved if you are able to come up with this idea. Of course, there is a lot of science and the technology beyond that, but that's not the concept that I want to talk here. My idea is just to make you start thinking. So whether it is achieved or not is not secondary. There is a lot of open innovation challenges that expects you to just give an idea. You need not prototype and develop and show the colorful panel like them. So you could just say an idea and share that, yeah, why not, let's make solar panel which is colorful, blah blah blah, this is my plan and this is how it would be. Just give your idea and the company will take care of it. So there are a lot of challenges like this that you could solve using this concept. So this was about creativity and why it is important for you as a problem solver to understand it. Yeah, yeah, this is one of the famous book regarding problem solving and perception, cognition, and creativity, and why it is important. So for I can relate this with my personal experience, and again I'll come back to this later. But for now, you must understand that people who are generally problem solvers, they are considered to be crazy, right? If you consider Elon Musk, if you consider Steve Jobs, yeah, there are some kind of crazy people, right? And you don't know at what point in time they get the ideas. It's unclear. You cannot define that I give you 30 days and you come up with an idea which works. No, it is not the case. They might come up, they might not come up, they might come up on the first day itself, they might come up on 29th day. It's not known. And there is different moods for innovation and in what mood you generate what type of ideas. And it's a very good book that you could read and understand about philosophy of problem solving and how you can actually come up with creative ideas that you can submit for various open innovation challenges which are out there. We talked about constraints. In the Pokemon example, I showcased you that you need to think about a Pokemon, and your mind was always already biased that you need to come up with only Pokemon name. But there was some creative guy that who called it as COVID-19 virus actually. And in another scenario, we saw that somebody called it a Pikachu and he proved it, right? So these people somehow were able to overcome constraints and you come up with creative ideas. So all the problems which are there with an open innovation theme actually present you some theme and some constraints, but keep in mind sometimes you could still win the challenge by breaking the rules. Creativity is all about breaking the rules, and yeah, and you have to connect the unconnected. So that's the point number 8. We played the stock market game, right, with the lady. I showed you bull market and bear market, and you are trying to make some theme and connections. So this is connecting the unconnected way to come up with creative ideas. And yeah, it can come up suddenly. You don't know when creative ideas come. So I will also show you my experience of using these techniques and how actually it made me win one of the competition. What I'm discussing might look simple, but that's how actually it works. And in terms of philosophy of coming up with creative ideas. Yeah. Now, I talked about creativity and I showcased you some examples, right? But this is one of the greatest book regarding two ways in which thinking can happen, right? So thinking generally happens in a fast phase or a slow phase. And what I am trying to say here is that more you practice these tools and techniques, more your mind will start getting used to it, and more creativity you will develop with creativity, and higher the probability you could actually win the competition, coming up with unique idea and your own personal perspective about this problem, right? So in this book, Daniel discusses that there are two states, state of mind. One is state one and another one is state two, for example, or he calls it system, whatever. What happens is when you're doing something repeatedly, you will be in a state that you could do it in a faster manner. For example, when you were driving for first time, it took you struggled, right? You were in slow state. Slowly, as you practice more and more, so you don't need to repeat it again, and your brain has noticed those patterns, and it comes without some effort. It comes out unconsciously, and you become it in a fast state. So you need to really understand this process, that don't expect to win an open innovation competition on the first participation itself. Yeah, there is high chance you could do that, but the more you do and more you start thinking, you will know how it works, and higher your probability of winning will be there, and you also increase your creativity. Yeah, now let's briefly talk about what are the different open innovation challenges which are out there and how you could make use of it. So, we are discussing open innovation right now only with respect to problem solvers' perspectives. So, as my audience, you guys come from various backgrounds. Few of you are working full time, few of you are students and working part time, few of you are students, full time students. So, for the people who are full-time employees right now, I'm not actually discussing about open innovation in a corporate hub, but rather we are talking with respect to problem solvers. So I think the key takeaway would be for you to understand how the problem solvers mindset works, and maybe you could devise this strategy later in your company. Yeah, so briefly talking, so generally the open innovation challenges which are out there, you could divide them into societal challenges and versus corporate challenges, right? So societal challenges is something that which involves a lot of stakeholders, and citizens are the main key stakeholders, and this is generally hosted by some policymakers, some sub department of policymaking department, or a government in itself at a higher scale. And then there is second type, which is corporate challenges. So for example, if you see right now for societal challenges, so India started with the concept of open innovation back in 2014, I guess. So there is a lot of challenges with respect to India and policy making in general. So various departments of policy making have hosted numerous challenges out there. Right now, there is Sri Shakti challenges, wherein it's they are asking how women entrepreneurs can innovate and you can submit some ideas and win some prize out there. So this is societal challenges. The second type that you have is corporate challenges. For example, nowadays they were seeking for ideas on how you could improve the patient experience in receiving specialty medicines. So this is one of the key problem area that they see, that patients who receive specialty medications are having a lot of troubles with respect to approval and oral process. So they are expecting some ideas regarding how they could simplify the process so that people get those specialty medicines quick and time. So this is a corporate challenge, but you could see that the link between these two is that the problems are still wicked, right? Although it's a corporate challenge, the wicked problem definition still holds true because it's quite ambiguous, multiple stakeholders involved, and there is no right or wrong solution. So it is still a wicked problem, even though it's a specific corporate challenge. And yeah, the other two ways that I would like to distinguish types of innovation challenges is that, yeah, challenges that anyone can try and attempt to solve, right? So things like these, with sufficient information, you could come up with as many ideas as possible. You just need to put some effort and spend some time in studying the data they have given, and you can already come up with some creative ideas. You don't need any domain knowledge. You just need to understand what's their existing processes, and yeah, you could create a flow chart and understand where the bottlenecks are there, and you can come up with creative ideas immediately. So in this way, there are many other challenges out there. Few more examples I'll show you later that anybody can solve. It doesn't matter what your education is, what your background is, what your domain is. So this is the beauty of open innovation. So anybody can submit any ideas, and you could potentially win some money for submitting creative ideas. The other type, which is slightly tricky, is like it kind of requires some domain knowledge and some expertise. For example, if they are asking you to develop a gene combinations, you first of all need to understand what is a gene combination. So one way to solve this is try to collaborate with people. Maybe you are expertise in managing the project. There could be somebody who's from medical, biomedical, or electronics or something, and they are expertise in this area. You could try and ask them if you could collaborate, and you could submit as a team, right? You could work as a team and you could do that. So this is in one way about how to tackle challenges which are requiring high domain knowledge. So in my observation, there is a lot of challenges in medical domain, which can be classified as simple, also requiring special expertise. And there are a lot of challenges regarding data analytics that, yeah, it all things like data analytics challenges is sometimes tricky. I would like to tell with my own example, because I actually won a data analytics challenge without even knowing about data analytics challenge, and I'll tell you how I did that shortly. Yeah, so think about whenever you're seeing a challenge, just think about the wicked problem definition. If you think it does hold true, then that's the one you could easily tackle. And if it is kind of asking you to converge, like a case competition with highly specialized domain knowledge, then think about if you have sufficient time to learn that new skill, and you could solve it. Because why I'm saying this is for people who are seeking this as a freelancing profession or a full-time job. There are a lot of data analytics challenges that you could actually learn by yourself, and then you could solve it. So there is an opportunity to learn a new skill and become an expertise and tackle that domain knowledge. So I'm not asking you to limit yourself just to the first type, but you could also go and explore if you could solve domain knowledge problems as well, right? Yeah, something regarding my own experience about problem solving. So my mantra is simple. It's connecting the unconnected that I showed you before. Right from the first stock market example, I tried to show you the connection between a confident girl and a girl who was depressed, and you guys came up with a lot of theories, right? So my ideology is always the same. I try and connect two different things, and I try to make sense and somehow, make sense to it. One of the example that I did was I was doing this creativity exercise for Volkswagen challenge. So the challenge was actually a data analytics challenge, and they were seeking for ideas to how you could improve the connected vehicle experience. So for this, I used the same tools and techniques that I showed you before. So I came up with an idea that links cycling with Volkswagen. I cannot disclose what it is because I've signed in confidential IP. So that's something that you should also take care when you're doing. Please do read terms and conditions and understand what is the details regarding IP, whether you can disclose it or whether they own the IP or you own the IP. These are the things that you'll find in website. Need not worry about that. But what I'm trying to say is fundamental concept remains the same, right? I'm trying to connect the two unconnected things, and boom, if it is a good idea, yeah, you get some money for solving it. And yeah, we also won Tudor Global Initiative project in last year. Yeah, speaking to my own experience, I would say that my innovation started because I left my full-time job. My intent to do innovation started after I left my full-time job, and I wanted to explore and develop my creativity skills. That's where when I enrolled for ISC classes, and then I got huge interest in this area in the early 2017, and yeah, started solving it. Eureka moment, the moment where you get ideas are crazy. For me, it generally comes at the end moment. For this Volkswagen challenge itself, it was postponed like 2 3 times, and I got the idea in the last minute. And it could come at any particular time. We cannot assure you about that. So that's about Eureka moment. Yeah, I talked about constraints. So if you see this challenge, if you define the problem using constraints, you are actually limiting yourself, right? Your creativity. So this was actually, they gave a data table. They gave you some data set, and they asked you to define the data analytics strategy for that. But my philosophy was, I understood that that data was not sufficient. So I didn't even use their data, but rather I suggested them to come up with new sets of data. So here I am breaking the constraints. So the constraint given to me was some set of data, but which is painfully obvious. But you need to keep in mind that sometimes you could still break the constraints and come up with creative ideas. So my idea for this was that, yeah, I didn't even use their data. Neither I have any knowledge in data analytics, but still, with the simple examples that I showed you, I came up with some creative idea, and yeah, they liked it, and yeah, they will be developing it shortly. Yeah, now talking about open innovation platforms. So few of you wanted to know about what open innovation platforms are out there. So there are many, but you could start with InnoCenter and HeroX. So where you get both corporate challenges as well as societal challenges. There are a lot of challenges right now which are open, which I'll shortly show you. And then for people who are from India, could look at Innovate India website, and yeah, there are a lot of challenges which are right now high importance for policymakers in India. You could have a look at them. Let's see some few live examples. So, for example, now there are two live challenges. One in InnoCenter is about ideas about what should we know to treat better for the coronavirus. So, yeah, let me give you an example. I don't want to bias you, but yeah, we need to understand social psychology. You need to understand whether people are following the social distancing, or you could argue that people need to understand what's their medical capability. People can argue that you need to come up with different strategies, right? Whether social distancing is right, wrong. But there is a lot of controversy, right? So this is why it is termed as a wicked problem. And yeah, you could actually give your own perspective and submit some ideas. So there is a lot of things and a lot of challenges which are out there. So try to come up with a unique idea and give some sufficient details. Read this challenge, understand what's the challenge really about, and in each challenge they also show you some definition about how they will evaluate your ideas, what is the evaluation criteria. Try to understand them, and then try to meet the requirements. And yeah, none of these challenges actually ask you for payment. It's all for free. You could solve these challenges whenever you're free, at whatever convenience. The only thing that you need to keep in mind is the deadline, right? So just submit before deadline, and that's nothing. There is no restriction about when you should work, what length you should work, whether you need to work for 1 day or 100 days. It's left to you. You could decide, and yeah, that's freelancing, right? And yeah, and if you follow this methodology, yeah, who knows? You could be winning some awards. And few people even talked about if you could retire and all that. I wouldn't practice. I wouldn't suggest that. I recommend this to do as a hobby rather than a full-time job. And now that people are not having any other profession and struggling to get a job, I am introducing you this. But maybe after a few days you get a job, I recommend you to start working and then simultaneously start doing this as a hobby rather than full-time profession, because this is a probability game, right? You don't know that you'll get the award or not. Yeah, there's one more COVID challenge in India, which is also open. Cash prizes up to 1 lakh. You could go back to Innovate India website and see more details. Let's not discuss that here right now. And yeah, maybe you could screenshot this. So I talked about two books in with regards to problem solving. One was about creative confidence, then I showcased you about riddle. Oh, I also talked about thinking fast and slow. But there are few other books which are really good in terms of understanding the problem solving philosophy in general. And yeah, for the social challenges, people who are joining from Global Shapers Bangalore committee today, I think you could look at the sixth book, Systems Thinking for Social Change. It will talk highly about what is wicked problems and how you could possibly solve them, because every wicked problem is a controversial concept, right? For example, if people are doing drugs, if you're doing drug bust, that will not solve the problem. People could still do it because you are enforcing it. So people are having different opinions and biases. And for example, if you're doing for homeless people, if you're coming with shelters, there is no guarantee that still the people will not be homeless. So it is all temporary solutions, and it is not solving the actual problem. So the actual problem need not be homelessness. The actual problem could be job availability. People are homeless because there are no jobs available. So everything is kind of linked. And for this, you need a system thinking perspective. So maybe this book is a very good start for those who want to focus on social innovations. Otherwise, people who are very new to problem solving, you could start with book number 1 and 2 that I've shown here. And yeah, for the corporate people to understand about innovators dilemma, so it's a very good book by Clayton, who unfortunately passed away very recently. He presents about dilemma about how to innovate in high tech environment, and you could read that book to understand that. Now let's go to one questions right now. We are having 8 minutes, so we could discuss few questions that you guys have. One of the very interesting questions that I personally liked, and yeah, I picked up, was about how to get out of Einstein or being stuck at one idea. This very much happens because when you see a problem, the perception that you get is, as I discussed, is basically about what your socioeconomic background is, what is your current mood, your motivation levels, and things like that. And it is really quite dangerous because your idea is already biased and you're being stuck at one particular idea. So the easiest way actually you could come out of it is just play this game. It's called Scamper. So what happens in Scamper is you try and identify the idea and you try to substitute it. For example, for the Volkswagen example, I the idea was about car, right? So I could argue that why do we need a car at first place? Let's do bicycle. So I substitute car with bike. Then you could combine it. So I try to understand technologies which is there in cycling. How can I combine it with respect to cars? So, and things like that. So you could look into more about this. Whoever asked this question, you could actually go and look into scamper technique. This is one of the easiest way to come out the hurdle of being stuck at one particular idea. I think, yeah, that's it. Hope this was inspiring and you got a very brief overview about problem solving, open innovation, and different platforms which are out there. Few of you didn't get my email because you registered quite late. So I'm writing my email ID in the chat box. You could drop me an email so I share the presentations and some sources with you. Others, if you're having any questions, please feel free to put it in chat box. Oh yes, let me unmute people. Let me stop the sharing of screen. Stop share. Um, Sorry. Oh, Issues. Just a second, sorry for the trouble. Yes. Yeah. People who
Thank you
want to
so much.
ask.
It was a really good session.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, Soumya, I think you could start. You had some long question you made.
Yes, Punith. Hi. First of all, a really great informative session. I really love the games that you incorporated in the beginning. That really helped us, open up. And it kind of reminded me of Achutta Rao's first class. So for those who don't know, I also, based on Puneeth's recommendation, I attended the CCE course taken by Achutta Rao sir. So my question to you, Puneeth, is so right now I'm studying in the design course, right? And we've been taught the process of how to go from the source to destination. Somewhere along the way, I feel like uh, I've lost that creative spark. The spontaneous thinking, all the things that you spoke about, the fluency, flexibility, and originality. I feel like it's all you know. It's gathering dust under this whole big term called process. how
Yes.
how do we manage to strike a balance between actually following the process? It's not like process is bad, it does yield results. It's just that at the point where we are actually supposed to think radically, innovatively, and creatively, that's where I feel like we fall back on processes as a crutch. So what are your thoughts on this? How do we come out of that?
Uh, yeah, this problem actually is, you could term this as ambidexterity. The problem today is that companies want to deliver at the same time they want to innovate, right? So the process that you said was, company expects you to follow the process, because at the end of the day, if you are only playing these kind of games, you don't know the probability of coming up with a creative product, right? Because out of 1,000 ideas, in the end maybe one or two ideas actually go into market. So for a company perspective, if you take it, it is a risk for a company that they always focus only on innovation, but at the same time they need to follow the process and deliver that, because delivery is what gets the company revenue, right? So uh, sorry, can you mute yourself, Vijay? So yeah, I think this becomes an ambidexterity problem. Even for you at a personal level, also this is a ambidexterity problem, because at one point you should complete the project, and other point you need to come up with creative ideas. So if you read the books that I recommended, maybe few of the books might be helpful for you to come up with creative strategies. Especially the first book is good about how you can break the rules and come up with more ideas. And yeah, you could practice the scamper techniques, and you could, if you're practicing it repeatedly, you may be able to come up with creative ideas. And I think it's a problem with everybody. Uh, you don't know, and at some point in time, you could get some idea.
Yeah, thanks, Puneeth.
Yeah. Any other questions? People who are from Global Shapers community, or people who are from corporate world, if you have any questions, you could let me know.
Puneeth, I have
Yeah.
one other question. So,
Yeah.
apart from open innovation challenges, what other things did you try to, sharpen innovation and creative abilities? What other exercises or what approach did you take?
Okay. I can talk about my recent approach. So I've been spending a lot of time on Instagram actually. So these days I try to experiment. So I'm very interested in finance. So I do technical analysis. I have some knowledge about technical analysis. So my approach to that was try and understand if people are really interested in analysis, and if they want to learn. So I started sharing my knowledge on Instagram and stories, and yeah, turned out that people were interested, and I hosted one more session for that. So when I'm doing this, actually indirectly, I'm developing my own creativity and also helping people understand few new interesting concepts. That was my recent approach for improving the creativity. I missed the most part of sessions. Yes, I mean, probably I will share the recording, but I forgot to record it from beginning. Maybe a few slides is missing, but yeah, I will definitely share the slides with all of you, and you could look into recording from wherever I started. Maybe I missed first 5 minutes probably, but most of it is recorded, and I'll share it with you. Yeah. Any other question, guys? All right, then. Thank you for taking your time and attending the session. I hope it was inspiring. I will share the slides with you guys, and you could go into various open innovation platforms which are out there. And yeah, you could start experimenting with your ideas and creativity. Thank you.